Look at Taj Mahal and beautiful buildings. That's what our Egyptian pyramid, that's what ancient folks left for us. We're going to leave a pad Everest. There were talks about cloth causes cancer, and I was trying to find that data, information, right? There has to be something. Everyone is talking about it. Where is the background data? I still haven't found it. So women run zebra-led businesses, which are real businesses which change things on the ground. Unlike unicorn, which is a mythical creature. Then 10 people see you, they change. And then 10 people see them and some people change. And before we know it, we're going to have a sustainable world, right?
Like the change is contagious.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SheSpark, where empowering conversations unfold. Join us as we dive into the journeys, wisdom, and accomplishments of successful women. Today's guest is Malini Parmar, co-founder of Stone Soup, an India-based organization which strives to reduce individual and community waste through the use of eco-friendly products. Hi, Malini. How are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're very excited to talk to you.
Me too.
So before we get into Stone Soup, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself, maybe your life before the company?
Yeah, so I was, my father was in forces, so we traveled all over the country. So I changed more schools, not because I was a bad student. I would, work hard to catch up even after missing 2 months of school every time. But I'd lived in multiple places. Growing up, my mom comes from Himachal. She's been the woman of the wind beneath my wings. So she came from a small village in Himachal. And she was the only among her sisters, the only one who went to school. And she wasn't allowed to study beyond 10. So it was her desire that come what may, however much my daughters want to study, I want to give them that opportunity. For her, the good careers at that point of time was being an engineer or a doctor. So she wanted my elder sister to be a doctor and for me to be an engineer. I looked around and I said, IT is the one which is taking people, across the world. So I joined Infosys. I was part of the product group, which was going to enhance smaller countries like Philippines, Africa, Jamaica, and Panama, and Colombia. So I loved the travel. But after 3 years, I could, the jokes I would tell in the client presentations, I was getting bored of the same jokes.
So how exactly did Stone Soup begin?
So I was in IT and I took a break when the kids came. And that's when I connected with volunteerism. A friend of mine from Calcutta. She was between jobs and to hang around with children. And she said, in New York, we were segregating our waste. Why aren't we segregating our waste? So she was saving her toothpaste tubes. So be very careful whom you're friends with at this time, because, you don't know the rabbit holes that take you down. So to help her, I volunteered and I said, I know other moms with young children and who've taken a break and we can all help you. 6 months later, she found a job and she moved on. And like 10 years later, I'm still there, or 12 years later, I'm still there, doing the garbage.
So you found your calling in an unexpected way.
Yes. So I just done for volunteering, but there was a professional training that takes over. So somebody came and said, just, these are the guidelines and just start. And we said, no, we can't start. There has to be an operations plan. There has to be a marketing plan. There has to be sales plan. There has to be, So we made all those plans and we implemented it. So when somebody from that community, and we expected, everyone told us nobody wants to do, nobody cares. We realized that that's not true. Not everyone wants to take that effort. That is true that they'll think and do the right things. But if somebody thinks it through and makes it easy enough, then we realized 70% of the people want to do the right thing. The minute you make it the law, 95% of people will fall in line. It's only that 5% whom you have to fine or,
Yeah.
catch. And we see that with road rules and everything else in life, right? So that's where it started.
What would you say was your biggest obstacle when you were starting Stone Soup?
So let me take a step back. This is the time of the startups. Everywhere, everyone is literally encouraged in schools and colleges to do a startups. I became an accidental entrepreneur, but then I was feeling, and all of us were feeling driven by the waves around us, entrepreneurs, funding, and the world is your oyster, billion-dollar companies you will make. And we saw the size of the problem is big, and maybe why not us, right? And then goes that whole cycle where things are not going the way that you want them to go. You know what needs to be done, but if you want to make that $1 billion, but you don't want to go down that path. So those have been the tough calls. And I feel like when my co-founder left, she technically left at one of those hard places where she felt heartbroken that she put everything that there was in it. And things were not going our way. We were not scaling, whereas we looked at our competitors. They were getting products from China, just putting a label and, walking away with the hard work that we were doing on the ground. And it was heartbreaking. And for months, I felt after she left, like, what are we doing? And then it just dawned on us one day that we were never in this for making money. We were in this for making an impact. So why are we getting focused just because everyone else thinks that we should be a $1 billion startup? That was not our ambition.
And what did you do after realizing that?
We were talking to young girls, we were in schools, we were talking to women in offices, we were doing sessions with lower income women. And suddenly, initially you just want to give what you want to speak, right? But after a while, we started listening to all the things that we were hearing back for women. And that's why I'm a big believer in that. I want to do only women's only session. Women talk when there are just other women. When it's a mixed group, neither men or women ask the deep questions.
So what exactly sparked your belief that reusable feminine and sanitary products were better not only for the environment, but also for people using it?
When I became a waste volunteer, I saw that one little tampon could create 1 ton blockages in the drainages. I looked at and found there were talks about cloth causes cancer, and I was trying to find that data information, right? There has to be something. Everyone is talking about it. Where is the background data? I still haven't found it. And it's evident. We all wear cloth, right? Every day. We don't get cancer.
That's interesting because I've actually read that single-use pads have more like they might cause cancer more often. Like I've read that they cause like hormone dysfunction, pelvic diseases. So I've never seen anything about cloth pads causing any of that.
Yes. So, but the public myth was the cloth causes cancer. There were ads like that and saying, Dr. Didi कहते हैं कपड़े से तो cancer होता है. Those ads, public interest ads, so to say. And I discovered, in fact, it's a US-based organization, Women Voices for the World, or org, womenvoices.org. And what I learned was shocked. I couldn't sleep for 3 days. And I learned that disposable sanitary pad has chemicals that causes more mood swings. They can cause you infertility. The chemicals in them have been linked to also cancer. I was like, why are we doing this to ourselves and our girls, right?
And what was the first step you and your organization took after finding this out?
So we said we should convert. We created, of course, with everything, given our background, we created a PPT. First thing, we started going to schools and colleges and just talking to other women, other girls, talking about it. So we said, let's talk, period. That was the name of our presentation. We would just ask everyone, give us an opportunity to come and talk in your organization, come and talk in your school. And we found takers. We went to the newspaper. Some of them had become our friends to cover stories, and we would do articles there. We would, do whatever we had. We also, somebody else had created a Facebook group, which was around sustainable menstruation in India. And we said, we don't need to create our own group. We had no intentions of making it a business, right? Which eventually happened 5 years later. But what we wanted to do was convert women and girls. And we knew that there are more people like us. We would find women who would come in passionately and say, you're also promoting cup. I'm also promoting cup. I mean, I would go to this, organic Sante, or which is kind of a festival. Sante is kind of a marketplace. And I would find somebody's put a stall and said cups and cloth pads, and they said, wow, you're selling it. She said, no, I'm not selling it. I'm just informing people.
Oh.
Yeah. So I found that there were more crazy people like me, right? We see SWMRT. So I'm part of Stone Soup. I'm also part of the crazy bunch of activists like me, which is the SWMRT, Solid Waste Management Roundtable. So we were, again, just our intent was to promote lifestyles, to promote things which reduce our waste footprint, right?
So what do you think? What do you think a normal average person who isn't like looking to become some eco warrior but also wants to do their part, what do you think they can do to slowly start becoming a little better in their lifestyle in terms of like being ecologically smart?
Okay. So there is a simple something called 80-20 rule. You'll realize. So the first and foremost is stop buying. Buy something if it's really essential. I found that I didn't buy clothes for 4.5 years, and I didn't miss it. I still had enough clothes. It's only after 4.5 years did my daily wear clothes started tearing, and when I had to start buying again. So we can afford to do with a lot less. So that's the first thing. We all think we can just buy ourselves out of trouble, right? No. First, you have to buy less. If you want to spend on services. Learn a dance, learn music, do something, give for charity. There are a lot of ways to show off than just spending and buying things, right? So that's the first thing. Then if you take 80-20 rule, if you look at your waste, in US, 80% of the waste is your packaging waste. Can you do something about it? Or plastics? You have multiple ways. Don't think of it, and most people fail who try and change big immediately. Give yourself and say, it's taken us 25 years to reach here. Can we take 5 years to go back? So if I look at it, and I would say in India, you should start by just segregating your waste. In US too, if you just segregate your waste, at least people who are taking that waste segregated can do something with it. So that's the first step. If you can, after that, tackle two other waste. One is composting, which is your food waste. You can compost, grow your own food. That's the second one you can do, because that's the largest single chunk. And you can tackle the dirtiest part of your waste, which is your sanitary waste. And which is why you see what we started, which products first. The dirtiest part, another human being is handling diapers, is sanitary waste, The dogs get to it. It's a nightmare. Why? I don't want to see my own, dirty sanitary pad. But another human being has to tackle it, and it live for 500 to 800 years. So your great, great, great grandkids have to come and tackle that waste sometime, right? Why leave this legacy? Look at Taj Mahal and beautiful buildings. That's what our Egyptian pyramid, that's what ancient folks left for us. We're going to leave a pad Everest.
Yeah.
So get rid of the dirtiest part and the biggest chunk, and then keep going one by one by one. Be more aware and conscious, right? So I started carrying, when I'm traveling, a small steel tumbler, a water bottle always, a spoon, fork in a tiffin box, and a cloth bag. So even when I'm in an airplane, when I want coffee, I can just give them my own tumbler and say, please give me coffee in this. I can't change everyone, but I can change and make sure I'm not part of the problem. Right?
So, you mentioned your products, your cloth pads, the menstrual cup. Could you tell us more about the composting products?
Whether somebody's saying organic, non-organic, my taste buds can tell me today. I'd never had that relationship with my own food till I started composting. So none of this is just about waste and it's a technical process and that you can manage it. I feel these are all things that impacts us and how we live as human beings with our things, what we taste, what nutrition we, give ourselves.
So I know that more people like who live in more rural areas, like even in the US too, I know villages do it in India. In the US too, if you live like in the Midwest and you have like a farm, you live in a more rural area, you compost like on a larger scale. Like they have these big composting, I forgot what they're called, but you have like a composting bin and it's a big part of their agriculture. So is that the same thing your compost kits do, but on a smaller scale for people living in like more suburban areas?
Yes. So in cities, so people can compost at home. So if you look at it, our smallest composter is around 20 liters. I had somebody who would put it under the kitchen table and would compose, was living in one bedroom house, no balcony, so she just put it there. Initially, people are scared. Will there be maggots? Will there be flies? It's about learning how you learn to cook. You could make mistakes and other things. But after that, once you've got the hang of it, you just can make delicious food. So you can make delicious, compost, and then you just grow your own spinach, your own some greens, microgreens on your own kitchen counters. So we made products which are suitable for urban areas. Then we made products for the community. So you can do it at a community level. Then we created a service on top of it saying that if you don't want to or your housekeeping doesn't know how to, we can come and help you do composting as a service. So those are the service layers.
How does the service aspect of it work?
So somebody would come, you've collected from your segregated wet waste in a community. So let's say there is 300, 400 kgs of organic waste. They hand it over to us. We install the composters in the community. We put the wet waste, we put the microbes and the consumables so that it starts composting. And once it's composted, we harvest, we either give it to the farmers or give it back in the community. So we're trying to create circular economy around it too.
Can you tell us a little more about why composting is so important?
So what composting does is helps you convert your kitchen waste, your organic waste. So your fruit peels, vegetable peels, leftover food, back into nutrients for the plants. So what the scrapes from your plate or the cooking scraps, you put it in a composter, it becomes compost or the nutrient from the plants, you feed it to the plants, then you chop the plants and put it back in the plate. So you have a full circular economy in your own house.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's not so difficult.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a mindset that a lot of us still need to adopt, and I hope that in the future more people will start to see it like you do.
Ankita, I want to take 5 minutes and talk about, women-led businesses.
Of course, please do.
Yeah. So when I started the company, I wanted, like I said, we are a startup, we should raise this funding and other things. It took me a lot of heartaches and heartburns to recognize that that's not who I am. That's not the company. None of us were in the company who were in the leadership. We don't, we're not like a pyramid with one person sitting on the top, right? We all do collective decisions. So it's like a team sitting on top, right? That's how women like to run their businesses. Um, we may not be the largest company, but we care for what the impact. We're more integrated with the society that we're working with. We try and see how can we create more local employment. Our focus is on how can we make the world more sustainable. Instead of just trying to, like in this conversation, plug our products. I want you to take the message of sustainability more, right? Forward. I want girls and women to live happier lives. So women-led businesses, there is a dialogue which is called unicorn versus zebras. So women run zebra-led businesses, which are real businesses which change things on the ground. Unlike unicorn, which is a mythical creature. So that was, interesting. The other one is I been greatly influenced by an article I read by a lady from McKinsey who wrote about women-centered leadership. And I saw it when I was in US in 2008. I heard that lady, Linda, I think that was her name. Women-centered leadership. And she talked about the fact that if you care, if you're passionate about what you're doing, then nothing else, you'll stay on in workspace. But if you don't care about what you're doing, you'll drop off. And I realized that I made the same mistake as a lot of women do, which is that I took a role which I didn't feel passionate about, but this will suit better now that I have kids and other things. I didn't feel passionate about it. I was saying I'm doing all this so that I can be in the evening home with kids and other things. And then comes the garbage movement, and it's not even paying me. But I found that I was loading up my kids on my hips and taking them to do these sessions outside the high court. They're sitting on the steps and reading their book while I'm going there. So I feel that when women have children, they tend to think that they need to take less. They can choose to take less, but they should take things which they feel passionate about. So those are also some of the things that I've learned.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said about women wanting to make a change with what they do rather than just doing it for profit. That's very important. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing your journey. It was very insightful, very inspiring, and I feel like I've learned a lot. In fact, now I feel like I want to convert to more eco products because of you. I truly think you are a pioneer right now. Like, you're doing stuff that more people need to be doing, and I have immense respect for you. Like, that is amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for talking to us today, Malini. It's truly been a treat.
Thank you.